cooking in Kevin's kitchen. What are you doing today, Kevin?
We're going to make some blueberry jam. We like jam around here more than jelly. You can make jelly, jam, preserves, whatever you want to do. We like ours a little more fruity. So when I go over this process, I'm going to show you that we don't beat it up too much. We just like a lot more of the fruit pulp in our jams.
Yes,
okay?
sir.
So there's not too many ingredients to this recipe. This is one batch. I usually do it in 2 batches, but I already made 2 batches of blueberry. This will be the 3rd one. We'll line up all the jars and show you the pictures here a little later. Man, it comes out really good. There's some good stuff here. So we'll go over the ingredients real quick and then get started. So first things first. Always start with not just clean, but sterilize. You can see I got my water going. I already sterilized these because I knew we were going to make this video. So this makes 9 cups, so I got enough for 9 cups. Go ahead and make an extra one because you just want to make sure that if you had extra, you have somewhere to put it. But you can also just pour it in a bowl and eat that first because it's good for 2 or 3 weeks before, without canning it at all. But we're actually going to can it. We're going to do that whole bit today. So first things first, always start with sterilized jars. Always start with brand new lids. Always brand new lids. You can use rings over and over again, no big deal. You want to reuse your rings, but start with brand new lids. Sterilized jar. I will go over this 100 times, and I got a bunch of videos out there. I use the pink sugar gel instead of anything else. The reason being, it sets. It's guaranteed to set. But the reason why I use the pink is because it's less sugar. And so it actually, you get more fruit flavor of your jams and jellies. There's so much sweet. All that is just extra sugar is all it is extra sugar. You got to use almost double the sugar for the yellow package than you do the pink package. Like this is, so we're going to the next step. We're going to use 4.5 cups of sugar, okay? And you're going to want 10 cups of blueberries rinsed. You haven't beat them up or nothing yet. Anyway, you want 10 cups of fresh blueberries already rinsed, ready to go. And that's it. The only other thing that you do when you're making these jellies or whatever, when you mix this up, you want to save out 1/4 cup of the sugar out of the 4.5 cups. So you're going to do 4.5 cups, and you're going to bring 1/4 cup and put it in this bowl. Because what you're going to do is you're going to mix this in with that sugar, and it all goes in when you crush your fruit before we add the sugars or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up. That way it's going to be ready. I'm just going to show you. You just mix it up with 1/4 cup of sugar. And I can't stress enough, that's out of the 4.5 cups. You don't want to add an extra. I mean, you can, it ain't going to hurt nothing. But there's no need for it. Okay, so that's mixed up, ready to go. Now we're going to move on to our crushing of the berries. I got this Ninja processor here. I'm really glad I got this one because it came with this jelly making tool right here. Normally, if you're going to process, it's got this blade and it cuts it up. Well, I love this guy because it's good for grape jelly. It's good for any jellies that you're going to really make jam and not jellies. Cook it down, and get the juice out. So this really makes it super simple. Okay, so we're just going to put it in there. And this holds, for me, I think it's like almost 4 cups. See if I can't not make a mess here. I'm not going to fill it all the way up. I'm only going to fill it up about that much so that we can make sure we got enough room to beat it up good. And then we're not going to process this, but we're going to beat it up. But it doesn't take long because we like ours a little chunky. Even if there's a couple blueberries left in there, that's good for us. We don't mind. So then you're going to take that, you're going to pour it in your stock pot and get ready. Okay? And we're going to do all 10 cups. This takes like 3 times or something like that. Do this with the grapes or anything. That's really what that's called, is a grape crusher. But I use it for blueberries and any kind of berries, blackberries. But I make seedless blackberry, but I run it through a deal and I strain out all those seeds. Okay, so like I said, 3 times. Just crushes them versus chopping them. And that's why I like using that little tool right there. Now, you don't need to add water or anything else. We're going to add that. Go ahead and get our, I should already had this kind of going. But we're going to turn this guy on. And then the only other thing we're going to use is 1 teaspoon of butter. And what that does is keep it from foaming real bad. That you don't have to ladle off all that foam. It just actually usually keeps it from happening at all. 1 teaspoon of butter. And that's going to melt. But right now is when we're going to add our pectin and that 1/4 cup of sugar. We just mix it in. I try to get as much of that pectin out of there as we can. And just kind of mix it up. Doesn't matter if it's clumpy. It's all going to melt. So that's all we got in here. We have 10 cups of crushed blueberries. We have a 1/4 cup of sugar with our Sure Gel, 1 package of Sure Gel, and then we have 1 teaspoon of butter. When this gets, we're going to bring this to a full rolling boil. A full rolling boil is when it's boiling and you stir it and it's still boiling. If you stir it and it stops, it's not a full rolling boil. You have to get it to a full rolling boil. It is just, that's the way the pectin works. It needs to get super hot. Okay, so we're going to do that. When that happens, we're going to add all the sugar at once, like all at once. We're going to stir that, get it to temperature up, and then the same thing. It's going to get to a rolling boil, a full rolling boil. When it gets to a full rolling boil, we're going to cook it for a minute. I usually go 1.5 minutes just because I like to make sure, but at least a minute, and then we're going to put it in our jars and then can it. So when this gets up to temperature, we'll be back. Alrighty, look here, folks. We are at a full rolling boil. Come in here and look. See, I'm stirring, and it's still just boiling away. That's what you want. You got to get it to a full rolling boil. Now what we're going to do is add the sugar all at once. Just dump it all in there like that. It's all going to melt, so it don't matter no how. Get it in there. Okay, now what are we going to do? We're going to bring it to another full rolling boil. When it gets to a full rolling boil this time, we're going to cook it for 1 minute. I like to go about 1.5 minutes, actually. Just to make sure that everything is jellified or whatever you want to call it, where it melts all that sugar. So, but be real careful right here, folks, because right here, when this gets to boiling, if you don't have a long enough spoon, it'll splash up on you and burn you. You know, it's happened to me a few times. So, actually, I did it this week. So, just be real careful because it's real thick, and when it gets to going, it really gets to boiling and it can get up on you, and it's super hot. Like I said, you got it at a full rolling boil. So you can see I got it at about 6 on my steel. The other thing I wanted to go over real quick before we take a break and wait for this is if you don't have a pretty good set of pot and pans, you're going to have to sit there and stir, because it will stick to the bottom. I have a pretty good set. I use Emerald Iron, All Clads is what they're called, and they really, you will get twice the amount of time you have before you actually got to stir with these than you do some other pots. So just make sure if you don't have a real good set of pots that stuff doesn't stick in, that you just stir constantly, okay? And just like this, just don't stop stirring. And that's the problem people have with making jellies and stuff like that, is the stirring part. Jellies, candies, all that, is it takes forever to stir to get it, but you got to stir constantly because you don't want it to burn. Okay, so we're going to get this up to a full rolling boil, and we'll be right back. All right, y'all. We are back at another full rolling boil. I've already added the sugar, and we're going. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to set my timer. Like I said, I like to go 1.5 minutes. So it's up to you. It needs to be at least a minute, but I'm going to go 1.5 minutes just to make double sure. When I was sitting there stirring, I could already tell it was already starting to set up. So I do know this is going to set up just fine. That's a problem with a lot of jellies and stuff, is they don't want to set. When I did the orange marmalade this week, it says it may take up to 2 weeks to set. I've never seen that on jellies before. But mine actually set right away. I either got lucky or whatever, but mine set right away. So I turned my heat down a little bit here to about 5. I don't want it to splash too much and get on me and burn me. So the other thing is I have my water bath going, so when I'm ready to can, it's ready to go. When you're doing this in all one-stop process, you would do that. You would sterilize your jars, pull it out of there, and then that same water you're going to do your water bath in to do can it. So we're gonna go 1.5 minutes here. Got about 20 more seconds. Might as well keep the camera going. And then we're gonna move it over here, and we are going to ladle them into the jars, and then wipe the top of the jars, put the lid on, and then we're gonna can them. When we can it on jams, we're gonna go at least 10 minutes. If it was jellies, you only need to go 5 minutes, and it basically gets all the air out and vacuum seals it and makes it good to go. So right there's our 1.5 minutes. Timer's off. Gonna turn this off. We're pretty much done. So we're gonna come over here now, and we're gonna start ladling. And you gotta have you a jar grabber. Be sure to you gotta have a jar grabber. And I know if you've ever made jelly, you got one, but some people may not know that. We'll go over that here in just a minute. So, oop, I forgot my funnel here, folks. Sorry. So we're gonna go like this. Get our funnel ready. Stir up your stuff because some of the stuff settles. And you want to be sure to mix up that fruit in all the jars. Takes about 5 scoops. Oh, I just made a mess, man. I think I'm going a little too fast because of the video. You want to go to 1/4 inch from the top so that it seals real good. Move that one out of the way. I made a mess. I'm going to have to wipe that one off. So once we fill all these, we're going to wipe off the tops real quick, and then we're going to put the lids on, and then we're going to can them.
Awesome.
So I don't know, we can go ahead and take a break, and we'll be right back. All right, we finished jarring it up. We're going to take and we're going to wipe the tops of them. I just get them all done real quick before I put my lids on. These are hot, so be careful. You can burn yourself. Just wipe the tops like that. And here I am making another mess. Wipe the tops like that. It's just so they get a good seal. And we're going to take. And you just want it hand tight. You don't want to scrunch it down just yet because we're letting that air get out of there. And just like that. And then we're going to drop them in our water bath. And of course, be careful with that because you got boiling water over there and it's super hot. Of course, you don't have to can them all. You can keep 1 or 2 out if you eat them within a couple weeks. I just can them all just because my very first jar out of a batch I'll usually keep to the side and we'll try it. Okay, so everything's hot. We're going to take it. Use your little trusty grabber here. We're going to drop them in our water bath. It's already boiling. It doesn't need to be a full rolling boil. It just needs to go like glug glug because you're just canning. You're not really cooking. We've already done that process. And it needs to be 1 inch over your tallest jar. So whatever your tallest jar is going to be, that water needs to be at least 1 inch, if not 2 inches above the tallest jar that you're putting in here. Which right here you can already tell I'm 1 inch. So we're going to put this in. Get it back up to the glub glub and we'll set it on about 7, and then I got to turn it back down. But what we're going to do is we're going to process these for 10 minutes. We'll be back in 10 minutes. All right, my timer's going off. It's been 10 minutes. We're going to go ahead and stop that. Grab our little trusty grabber. Hopefully you'll hear these pop. They should pop pretty quick. You're going to take them out and set them on a towel, and you're going to leave them there until tomorrow. You don't want to store them until they're all set, cooled off, and ready to go. So I can go ahead and turn this water off. And then what I do, just another little secret, is I take, because this water's boiling hot, is I will take this water right here, and I will actually pour it in the pot that I made the jelly in. That way I can clean that pot with the same boiling water. That way you don't have to waste a lot of water.
Right.
Okay, so that's really all there is to it. Okay, look here, folks. I already know it's going to set. Look, it's set nice. I've got that out of the pan. Look at that. Let me show you something. That right there is good jam, boy. Okay, you're going to let it sit here, and then you're pretty much done. Write the date and what it is. I go back and I just make sure they're all tight and they're ready to go. So we got homemade blueberry jam. Get you some.